Hey guys and gals on YouTube, how y'all doing? It was 1977, and this was minifigures at the time. These guys here had like a wheelbarrow workman. I got a whole bunch more of these. They're still available, but a lot of times sellers break these down, and there's no printing on the face. The visor hat and the hands in the pockets is about all you get. But of course, you could change up your figures by putting a 1x2 plate, and these were the very cool single wheels that were available at the time. And these were the basic figures. They all had the visors. At this time, there was also some cowboy hats available. And this was the female. The only female hair available was the pigtails. And this was one I made back as a child or very young person. This was my version of Wendy from the Burger franchise. Now, 1979 rolls around, and my mom had bought me this set here. This is not the original figure. We'll get into that here in a minute. But this is the original set. I don't have them connected because these connecting points break rather easily. This, if you notice, is the old gray. I thought it was incredibly cool that this... I was in second grade. Had the air tank here. Wow. Like I'd mentioned in a previous video, the clutch on these old Lego sets do kind of get a little old after a while. A lot of times on eBay, you'll find them without the air tank. These air tanks are just sitting on that stud. They're not hard attached. And I'm having a tough time doing it with one hand. Oh my goodness. Off camera. Let's use... Still can't do it. My goodness. Anyways, this trans green piece was also cool, and it had a rotisserie on it. Also, the wheels came out, and they were on flats, 2x2 flats, instead of the bricks. This cool hinge piece had also come out. God almighty. Golly. And as you notice, there's no Technic rods, which nowadays there probably undoubtedly would be. But you have this piece here, which would hinge up. This was like a satellite to be launched, and you just stuck it on the end of your rocket here. Very simple build, but next sets you would see these pieces here used as tail pieces on some of the other sets coming out. And then, of course, there was a build like this, which was some of the first little rockets, which we later still saw on Luke's land speeder. This was an incredibly cool gripping arm here. And these steering wheels were cool. And this is some of the first of the colors and some of the pieces coming out. And about these figures here, it was even covered in the Lego movie. These helmets are incredibly fragile. And this character is slightly newer. In 1979, when they came out, these little fins, these little teeth weren't here. These were just square solids, and they would rather quickly, in normal play, become loose. And even my original sets had become very loose. That's why they're sitting in a plastic bag. And of course, the printing on the chest here would wear quite thin. So a lot of times, if you see this on eBay, a lot of times the head's original, but the torsos have been changed with a more recent set. And I do have a number of these sets out. This was in my real timeline, the very last of my sets from the space era. I never at that time saw the blue or the black or some of the other colors. The yellow was the very last of them that came out here at the time period. And they went to these balloon tires, which just flip over and attach to the regular wheel instead of the tire. But these are pretty cool. You can also use a Technic pen from behind. A little square hole. So it's kind of a forerunner, foreshadowing things to come. There's a first view of the camera piece, or later became the camera piece. And here's that chair piece that you see later on some of the MTTs. You'll see the forerunner of some very odd pieces here. I haven't seen this piece here in years, but I'm sure it's still out there. I don't know if they're still making it. And we got the early headlight bricks, which would later appear on like semi-trucks, and the bomb piece. Now, what I'm bringing to date here is This was the first of the Army builders, and this is a recreation with vintage parts, except for the black and dark green needs to be changed to light gray, old light gray. But this was literally the first of the Army builders. And it probably looks a little weird now, but this was my second grade attempt. And I would use the megaphone pieces, or that little pieces like a gun with a stud, like the green trans on the end, to make a firearm. Anyways, I made this one from loose pieces, mostly for the purpose of video. And then because storage being a thing, I actually found an original one I made from childhood. And this is exactly how they look. This is all old gray stained. This was probably put together by me in probably 1979 or 1980. Probably 1979. And I guess that would be an illegal technique right there. I mean, nowadays, if you want to make it stronger, you could use a jumper plate, would probably make the most sense. Maybe I should make an improved one with more wheels on it as an adult. But, yeah. Kind of cool, though, these little pieces. I do actually like the old gray. I really do. I like these old space bits. But anyways, that's a video on just some of the space sets and when I first got to see the first of the minifigures as we know them now. And of course, this castle pieces came out soon after this. But appreciate the views and the comments out there. Great community. Until next time, y'all stay safe. Ciao.